On a recent Coach Robb podcast, I created quite a stink storm by saying cold plunges are not for everybody, and let me elaborate as to what I meant by that. If you go through the internet these days, it's not going to take you very long to see somebody advocating a cold plunge. And I personally am not a fan of the cold plunge because I've seen more negative come out of a cold plunge than I have positive. At the time of this recording, I've been a physiologist for 39 years. I completely understand what the books will tell you associated with the benefits associated with a cold plunge, and I'm not denying them whatsoever. But what I do think is being overlooked is the individual's response to cold plunge. I can give you some information by looking at somebody's Garmin dashboard. This individual decided to do a cold plunge with his wife. And I want you to look at his stress score immediately after doing a cold plunge. Now, I have no vested interest to try to go out and search for this type of information, but I'm very blessed to have quite a few athletes where when I'm having a dialogue with them and they're like, Rob, that cold plunge stressed me out to the moon. Well, let's make sure that that wasn't just a psychosomatic situation. Let's make sure that that was truly your body's response to the cold plunge. And when you look at the screen, look at these stress numbers. And it's very simple. I said, what time did you get in the water? The good part about Garmin is it timestamps everything to the minute. Look at the stress score that goes up. Now, what was interesting is the stress score lingered for almost 3 hours afterwards. He was essentially, I don't want to use the word told, but he was instructed by somebody that he trusted that said, do a cold plunge and then try to go to bed within the next couple hours. Supposedly you're going to be able to sleep better. Well, his stress levels went through the roof. They lingered for almost 3.5 full hours, and he absolutely could not sleep. Resting heart rate went up that night because of a lack of sleep. The next morning, he had a low HRV number. He had a high stress score. He had an elevated heart rate. Now, before you say, yeah, but what about did he exercise? Did he have a race? Did he do something? No. We actually did this purposely. It was during a week of rest and relaxation where his exercise consists of 30 minutes, heart rate zone 2 or below, so we could keep all variables constant. And the reason why I say it in that context is I told him, I said, I personally, as an individual, I don't get anything out of cold plunges. He said, yeah, but I've been talking with somebody and I want to give it a shot. Definitely go for it. And I would encourage you that is watching this on YouTube, give everything a fair shake. But you've got to look at it subjectively, not just because some popular social media person is talking about it. Always evaluate how your body responds to anything anybody says is going to work. I call it the textbook test. I've got a client of mine that if he eats a red apple, his face swells up. Well, textbook would tell you that a red apple is healthy. Unfortunately for him, it is his body reacts to it negatively. And that's the only thing that I want you to keep in mind on any video that we ever do. I'm not saying cold plunges don't work. Textbook-wise, they have all kinds of benefits, physiological benefits. You personally may take a cold plunge and say that you have great mental alertness and you feel like your energy, that's awesome. It works for you. But I did want to elaborate on what I said on the talk show. I have experience with quite a few athletes that have tried the cold plunge. They've tried the contrast therapy and it's had a very negative ramification. And I don't want you to take it as if you are like some oddball. You're not. You're finding what does and doesn't work for you as an individual. So with that being said, I just want you to always remember, ask yourself, how did your body respond to anything that you did? That's a beautiful part about the analytics with Garmin is it does strip the emotion out of it. You're certainly entitled to your opinion, but do the numbers back up what you say worked and or didn't work? If it didn't work, let's figure out why. And in this case, the excessive cold caused him to have stress headaches. Literally, he got a headache that night, negatively impacted his sleep, got a high stress score, got an elevated heart rate, had a drop in the HRV. Wasn't a good response for him. So, like I said, I wanted to share that with you. However, whether it's about this topic that we're discussing here today on the cold plunge, or whether it's something I may have said in a previous video, please feel free to send me any questions that you guys may have. We're putting out a video every day here on YouTube, so please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. But if you happen to have a question, by all means send it to me. I'd be happy to have an adult conversation. contact@coachrobb.com is the best and simplest way to get it to me. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.